Hello, my name's Alex Hill. I'm a local resident from Wyesham in Monmouth, we're here at the historic Wye Bridge, which is shortly to be renovated by Monmouthshire County Council. Now, our problem with this is they're planning to close the bridge completely for 5 weeks, which has caught everyone in Wyesham and the surrounding areas unawares. It's going to have a catastrophic effect on the local community, the local businesses, and everyone who uses this very busy road. Now, according to the Department for Transport government website, the average annual flow for the Wye Bridge is 4.5 million vehicles per year, which works out at approximately 12,574 vehicles that cross this bridge daily. That is a massive figure, and they are not going to be able to do this if the council's plans to go ahead. It's going to cause a lot of problems for the residents of Wyesham, like myself. I have a 6-year-old daughter in Kimminview Primary School up in Wyesham. I work in Overmono at the other end of town, and would normally cross this bridge twice in a day. Now, the alternative route the council are proposing is a 30-mile detour, which would take you up around the Forest of Dean and back down Ross, which to me is 60 mile a day. If I'm working 6 days a week, that would average out at over 300 miles a week, and over the 5 weeks they're planning, it would be 1,800 miles added to my journey. Are the council going to pay me fuel for this, or the wear and tear on my car? No. Will they refund any council tax for this massive inconvenience? No, of course they won't. It's going to cause a lot of problems, and a lot of people I've spoken to within Wyesham and the local community are very unhappy. The businesses over the hill here, such as Lidl's, Screwfix, Quick Fit, are customers going to travel 30 mile out of their way and then 30 mile back to come and visit these stores? I wouldn't have thought so. They'd be making a massive loss financially, which is bound to affect them. The council has said they're not going to offer any money back to businesses, which just seems wrong. To close this bridge, nobody is denying the work needs doing. It's been in a state of decline for decades, and isn't suited for the current level of traffic that comes over it. There's no weight limit on the bridge for lorries or buses, which there probably needs to be. Ideally, what this community needs is a new vehicle bridge, not the new footbridge and cycle bridge that's being proposed. This needs to be pedestrianised, and ideally a new vehicle bridge built. The council is saying there's no money available for this. It's a massive increase in costs. But my argument would be they found the money when they wanted to build a new bridge down the bottom of town to replace the old historic Monmouthshire Bridge. They found the money when they wanted to refurbish the street. They've made an absolute mess of that. It's for the worse, but they've spent thousands upon that. They bought a shopping centre down Newport for 20 million, which is making a massive financial loss. They found the money to waste on this. Our council tax is being paid, and by making decisions like this, we're not seeing value for money. Now, shutting the bridge is going to cause problems in a lot of other areas, such as for emergency services. They've been told they'd be allowed emergency access, but it would be guided, and there may be a delay. Now, 20 minutes could be the difference between someone living and dying in the case of an emergency, such as a fire, someone having a heart attack, someone needing urgently to get to hospital. If they're having to take a 30-mile detour or having to wait whilst the workers potentially clear equipment for their emergency vehicles to cross the bridge, that's going to cause major issues. Post. Will we get post? Will we get companies like Amazon, Yodel, will they come to Wyesham if they're having to make a massive detour? Who knows? Will the shops, local shops, still get deliveries? We don't know. Will Arctic lorries make it down the back roads you have to do? The alternative route is very sort of like windy, bumpy road, and the time they're proposing to do it in, which is October going into November, you could have the potential for flooding, heavy rain, sleet, snow, all of the above, and it's just not ideal. Ice even, it's just not ideal at this time of year to do the work. Ideally it should have been done now in the summer holidays when the children are off school, the nights are lighter. My worry is having to take this massive detour, there's potential for a higher level of accidents. You only got to see from these statistics how busy this road gets. If all of that traffic is travelling the alternative routes, they're going to be a lot busier. It's going to cause more delays, more disruption. I would be worried about finishing work and getting back to school in time to pick up my daughter. There's lots of, I've spoken to lots of people in Wyesham, several pregnant women who are due around about the time this work's due to be completed. They're very upset that they might not be able to get to hospital in enough time. I've spoken to childminders who have children that need to get to them that don't necessarily live at Wyesham. They live at the bottom end of town. They have to get through this traffic and round this detour. I've spoken to several who said they're fearful they might lose business. Small local businesses up here who rely on the income of people travelling over this bridge. If it's shut, they're going to be hit financially, and the Monmouthshire County Council aren't prepared to offer them any compensation, which I think is completely wrong. Ideally, what the residents of Wyesham would like is to have a local meeting with Monmouthshire County Council, everyone involved in this decision-making process, the engineers, and explain to us exactly why this bridge has to be shut completely for 5 weeks. It's taken everyone completely by surprise. Myself and a lot of other people I've spoke to assumed it would be shut at most overnight and at least one lane with filtered lights throughout the day, which would be an inconvenience, yes, but would allow us to go on with our daily lives in a more convenient way than this massive detour they're proposing as an alternative. It's just not feasible, it's not sustainable. It's got a lot of people's backs up, and it's been quite a contentious issue over the last couple of weeks since these plans have come to light. We've just had it, we're told that more details will be forthcoming. They're currently not, so we're all in the dark. In my view, the council should have called a meeting before they even proposed this ridiculous proposal to close the bridge. They've applied for planning to do it without even consulting the community. Many people, I'm sure, may not even still be aware it's happening. I only learned of it myself through a social media leak, not from our own councillor, but by another councillor, and it was reported in last week's Monmouthshire Beacon. For people who aren't on social media or don't read the Beacon, they don't necessarily still know about this if they're housebound. I'm worried about the vulnerable in the community. Will they get food? They're going to be worried. The elderly. Wyesham has a lot of elderly residents. They rely on carers having to come this way multiple times, sometimes 3-4 times. So the carers would essentially cross this bridge back and forth 8 times in a day if they come four times up to Wyesham. It's just not feasible to expect them to have to take this massive detour. It's putting major pressure on business companies, on carers, on everyday working members of the community and families, and the council just need to find an alternative to this because there are a lot of people not very happy about it.